You are tuned in to the Beyond the Breakdown podcast with my homie JT from Six Scars. Stay tuned. You are not going to want to miss any of this.
What's up, everybody? You are listening to Beyond the Breakdown with Six Scars. I am the host, JT, and tonight I am joined by filmmaker, songwriter, philosopher, like whatever you want to call it, the Death of Zenith, wow, aka Caleb Straus with one S. I had to learn that the hard way.
It's okay. It's a mistake that's made often because I am actually in the only Straus family that spells it that way. There are multiple Straus families all over the globe, and if it's one S, they're related to me, like straight up.
Why you gotta make my life hard, man?
I know. Why? Well, I don't know if this is true or not, but supposedly we dropped an S off our name when we came over in the First World War because we were evading persecution. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a nice story, so I like to tell it. But yeah,
dude, I have a weird story for my last name, but basically, what I have on Facebook isn't my actual last name. But,
it's not?
No. So my actual last name is Christine, Christein.
That's German. Fuck.
Yeah, the original is Mick Christensen.
That's even more German.
So like we migrated from the Isle of Man into Germany, and we were lords and nobles, and then we moved to America among the first settlers of northeastern Pennsylvania Dutch, and we lost everything.
Damn. Well, you were destined to be a rock musician. Shit.
I know, right?
It's in your family story.
Jesus Christ, man. There's like a fucking, like you said, family story and punk rock album in there.
I know, right? Biggest claim to fame my family has. Well, the Senator Joe Straus is like my third cousin, but even more than that, Isidore Straus, who went down on the Titanic, the founder of Macy's department store.
Oh, dude.
He was a cousin. Yeah, he and my dad, I think, were like third or fourth cousins.
Okay, so a little bit behind the scenes, I am obsessed with anything Titanic.
Really? Oh, that's so cool.
Like, I actually planned on doing like a little bit of an episode, not on this podcast, but a different one of like nothing but Titanic theories.
So I would definitely check that out. Because of the family tie, I kind of have a similar obsession, you know?
Hell yeah, dude.
I definitely watched the movie when it came out. And he actually, James Cameron interviewed Isidore Straus's grandson when he was making the film. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. So,
that's freaking cool.
But same, dude. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. That stuff really fascinates me, like our lineage, and you never know who you're related to.
No,
like you're doing something.
You don't. Like, I think I'm like related to Patrick Henry on my mom's side.
Damn. Yeah.
I'm like, we're just screwed from the start at this point. So, man, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm really excited to be here today.
No, thank you for doing this. We've a little bit behind the curtain here. We've been trying to get this podcast going for a while now, you and me. So yeah, it's really cool to get a sit down interview with you, and we're gonna dive right into it. So for those that don't know you, tell them a little bit about you, man.
Well, I was raised and born, and not in that order. I was actually born first, and then I was raised.
Like Simba in The Lion King.
I would love it if my birth story included that moment, but I was born and raised here in Abilene, Texas, where I currently reside. I haven't lived here my whole life. I lived in New Mexico briefly, went to college for a couple of years there. I lived in Austin for 15 years. I was married there and taught theater for 10 years. All grade levels from preschool to college. My primary background is in theater. I went to college here. I finished college here in Abilene, got a bachelor's in acting, and went to go work at a couple of theaters actually as a technician for a little while, and did some shows as an actor too, and got into teaching well, I went to grad school first for directing in 2008 and got into teaching a couple of years after that. And so my primary education and background is theater acting and theater directing. But during that time, I did a lot of independent film because Austin's a really big hub for that. And of course, music. The whole time I've been, my old band MZNZ was together through that time. We actually started in high school. Me and my late buddy Dustin Johnson, may he rest in peace. We grew up together, and we started that band when we were 16, I guess.
Oh wow!
He was actually a year older than me, and we kept until the day he died. It existed in some form or fashion. You know, he and I were always the core members, and so we did some shows there, released some albums. We did biggest claim to fame. We did a remix for KMFDM, which was badass because they were huge influence on us. Still are on me. And we had a film company called Snout Productions, and it was kind of an extension of the music. We directed and helped produce some. I did a few shorts under that banner, and we did a slasher called Homecoming 2 that we were brought on to help with, which was a lot of fun. And but our biggest project was a thing called It's Over, and it was initially supposed to be a film, which then expanded into a film trilogy. And then the trilogy expanded beyond that. And we had all these plans. It's Over was this big apocalyptic story. It was like a cross between I don't know, I guess it's like a cross between like Stephen King's The Stand and like, I don't know what else you'd compare it to. It had it had book elements in it too, but it's about the end of the world, basically. Final battle between God and Satan with a twist. And it turned into 3 movies. 3 movies turned into 3 movies and a comic book and a soundtrack album. And we had this huge kind of multimedia universe planned, similarly to what I have now done with Overnight. But in the middle of making the 3rd film, as well as in the middle of making what ended up being the final MZNZ record he was on, Dustin passed. And the 3rd film was a special one because we'd done the first 2 films with no budgets at all. Real independent, looked independent too, and we had no fucking clue to it. They were train wrecks. They were charming train wrecks, but they were train wrecks. But on the 3rd film, another production company had come in to help us out and give us some actors and a few more resources. But when Dusty died, it changed everything because not only were we the co-directors, we were both actors in the movie. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I had to do all these rewrites. And what I really should have done is just shut it down. But my way of grieving at the time, I guess, was to, consequences be fucked. I'm going to get this thing finished, Finished it, went through an aggregator, hired an aggregator to help me get it on Amazon Prime and help me promote it on there. And it got some big exposure. It made a little bit of money, but it got ripped to shreds in the reviews. And part of that's because it's an indie film, and a lot of people don't realize what they're getting into when they watch an indie film. And a lot of that is just because I was not in a place I shouldn't have finished it, man. You know what I mean? But that all kind of ended up leading to, when the films were released, they were reviewed by an author named C. Dennis Moore, who writes horror fiction, and he loved them. And every review, he said, man, if somebody would just give these guys a budget, and that was the whole point. That's why we made them. We wanted someone to give us a budget so we could remake them,
right,
with money. And we were like, yeah, what this guy said, and he and I became friends through that process. And so when Dusty died, it hit him too, because he was a fan. And what he did to save it was he said, why don't you send me the scripts you wrote and I'll turn them into prose? And so now what we have is this. And, the films are not massively available anymore. However, if you buy this book off Amazon, which is all 3 books in one, it's the complete saga. In the back, if you have the patience to type them by hand, are the YouTube links to the movies.
Oh, okay.
But that's the only fucking way you'll get them.
That's amazing.
Full disclosure, I get nothing from this book. I gave away the rights to this. I gave Dennis the rights. I did work with him on writing them. We changed some things. Obviously, you don't need a budget when you're writing a book, right? So all of a sudden I can do whatever the hell I wanted. So we did. And now the films aren't even canon anymore anyway, because we changed so much. But that all is over now.
Yeah, a
Sound
little bit of
production
pun
consultant.
there.
Yeah, MZNZ, all that kind of shut down and segued me into where I am now, which is, I'm co-managing director and co-founder of Solunar Records.
Yeah.
With Deja Gonzalez, who is the CEO and co-founder. And now we have Dead Dreams of Silhouette Death as our third member of the company. He's also now an artist on the label. Currently, we have signed myself, my project, The Death of Zenith, Blood of the Beloved, The Antihero, As I Speak, and Silhouette Death. And of course, there's the big Overnight project, which in many ways, I think for me was kind of a second chance at what I wanted to do with It's Over. It's overall got compressed into 3 books, and we're really 1 book. And so Overnight was sort of my second chance at creating kind of a mass universe through multimedia storytelling. So that's why the 2 are connected,
I was getting ready to ask you. I was like, was Overnight your kind of like a redemption from It's Over?
It was my redemption for a lot of things. It's Over was Dusty's idea, totally frankly. What's up, Will?
What's up, Will?
Overnight was mine, right? And when Dusty died, and I was faced with this, a lot of things happened after he died. The life that I had built for myself, this, theater teacher, filmmaker, industrial musician. I was married. I had kids. I still have kids. I was married. We'd sent the kids back to the toy store. No. All of these things, all of a sudden, it became very clear to me what belonged in my life and what didn't, I guess. Yeah. And so the last 5 years have led to Overnight happening, and all of the sequence of events that led to it happening have been very auspicious, I guess, very serendipitous, and have led me, who I'm nothing if not a cynic, to believe that maybe there is a rhyme and reason to what's going on in the universe, because man, the way a lot of pieces have fell into place in my life over the past 5 years, while simultaneously others were falling apart, I don't know if you want to call it divine timing or what, but it's been a fucking ride, man.
Dude, like, so in all transparency, I've already told you this, but I just finished watching Overnight.
Yeah.
And I come from the film background of, like, I'm all for the mind fuck.
Yeah.
And buddy.
You're welcome. I'm sorry. I don't know. What's the correct response?
Okay, like I've tripped worse before, but like I was like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Can I please use that quote in an ad for the movie? I've tripped worse before, but what the fuck is going on right now?
Yes.
That is like the best. And I've had a lot of compliments on this thing, but that's the best one right there.
Well, I mean, I won't give any spoilers away because it's definitely something that should be seen. But like the way that you do the juxtaposition of certain shots and the way that you play the dichotomy of all the characters is really, really well done. Like,
thanks,
I was watching it and I was like, the storytelling for me was like, fuck, this is almost like, some Christopher Nolan type shit.
You still my beating heart. I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan. So.
Same, dude. Like, I am obsessed with everything that he has to do. I think he's one of, just one of the best in my opinion. I get a lot of hell.
He's like a blockbuster director with an indie sensibility. It's like the best of both worlds,
Right?
Yeah.
Will said he's got to side with me on that. He loves that far out, really freaking bizarre shit. Then you need to watch Overnight.
Yeah, Overnight would definitely be up your alley, buddy. So go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead.
So what I was gonna say was, I mean, what was it like writing the story for Overnight? Clearly it was a process, but I mean, what were you on?
All of it.
Was it whole note?
Hey, yes. So To be perfectly frank with you, actually, some of the film was inspired by some trips I've had. Some of them and some of them, yeah, one or two of them DMT actually. So that came much later in my life, though, within just the last few years. But Overnight was it was a 20+ year process. The initial idea came when I was 19 years old, and I was falling asleep listening to my favorite album of all time, which is The Fragile by 9 Inch Nails. And it was disc right, and yes, it's disc right, and it was the instrumental "The Mark Has Been Made," which is one of my favorite instrumentals of his, and it's been used in a lot of movies. You know, like it was used in the Unbreakable trailer. I think it's just it's very cinematic. So you fall asleep listening to that, you're bound to have a cinematic dream. And so you know that shot in the opening credits of The Boy. Yes, Will, 9 Inch Nails, fuck yeah. You know that shot in the opening credits of The Boy walking across the red wall. I had that dream listening to that song.
Oh, okay.
That was the seed. That was the seed. And I was not a father by then either. And it is my son Liam actually that plays the boy in the movie. And
I saw that.
It's uncanny how much that boy in my dream looked like my now 12-year-old son, who in no way, shape, or form existed in 2001. But I woke up and I wrote it down, and other things came, other characters, other ideas. You know, one of my other big filmmaking influences is David Lynch, and I love his view on ideas. I love how he sees ideas as this sort of thing that exists in an ether, and you're almost like a channel for it, rather than like you came up with it. And so I really opened myself to that way of thinking, and I just decided to pour things into my head, music and film and art and everything, you know, no genre left unturned, no medium left unturned, and just see what happened. And so over the course of years, I would start thinking of other characters. The primary characters, Craven Paulson and Darcy Skye, their original name was, they were a married couple called Duncan and Angel Blake, and they came a couple of years later. Blue, the villain, was the second thing to come after the boy. And then Duffy came. Duffy was originally the bellhop, actually. But when I met Alan in college, I rewrote the role for him. And we made a short film version of it in 2004 for a film class I was taking. And I finished the complete script, but I hated it, so I ended up trashing it. And that process would happen over and over again for years. I would try it as a play. I took a couple of playwriting classes in grad school, tried it as a play, hated it. Tried it as a book, I think, a couple times, hated it. And what happened is there were a bunch of things that occurred in my life that made me realize the thing was missing in Overnight was me and my true story. What I wanted Overnight to be, and what it very much is a love story set in a violent and chaotic world, you know, or a love story that maybe looks at, it picks apart our modern notions of love versus attachment. You know, I think we're in a period in our culture right now where we're starting to wake up to the fact that a lot of the old paradigms of love and attachment and relationships don't fucking work, you know? And so that felt like a good time to bring this back up. But if I wanted it to resonate on any kind of emotional levels, I had to get true with it. So what I ended up doing is completely restructuring it to where I took my actual life and superimposed it onto the movie. And so Duncan Blake became Craven Paulson. My real full name is Caleb Paul Straus. So Craven is me.
Okay. I was wondering like how deep that rabbit hole went, because I was, you know.
I mean, obviously a lot of it is still fictional. I've never worked for the cartel.
Are you sure? You look like somebody.
Dude, I tell you what, if the cost of living don't calm the entire fuck down, I'm putting in an application. No shame,
Dude,
in saying that, man. Good Lord. I haven't yet, though. I haven't worked for the cartel yet. But a lot of it is true. And then Darcy is actually based on Deja, the co-founder of Solunar. Her full name is Deja Skye Gonzalez. So that's why Darcy's name is Darcy Skye. Deja and I have known each other for over 20 years. And the way that Craven and Darcy meet in the film is exactly the way we met in real life. Like, that scene is 100% true.
So was it your cousin that introduced you to, or?
Actually, that character is not really my cousin. She's a mutual best friend of both of ours, but that is a real person. yeah, Sarah is based on a real person that did introduce us. Yeah. And
That's
all that
awesome.
background that they grew up together, and then Sarah moved and met me, and all of that. Yeah. Sarah's real name is Shanna. But yeah, that's
Okay.
everyone in Overnight except for Duffy is based on a real person.
See, I can't talk about Duffy because of the way the film is, but I
Right.
was like,
you can't, you'll give something away. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's definitely something that needs to be experienced. Like that's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Before it gets lost in the shuffle, Jana Lee Macheka. I hope I said
Jana.
that right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jana and I worked together at First Angel Media. She's an old buddy of mine. What's it like to have all that free space in your life now? Jana, honestly, I went through a little depression for a while, actually, for a few weeks after the premiere. I was telling Deja about it actually a couple weeks ago. Like, I was like on cloud 9 for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And then I had this big crash, and then, I mean, it's talking like, how long I've been working this thing, over 20 years. So it was a big crash, and I found that what happened in that period is I started writing a lot of music. And so now I'm stockpiling Death of Zenith music, and writing Death of Zenith music that is not for Overnight has been really, really fun. So short answer, John, is it's resulted in a lot of Death of Zenith music's going to be coming out this year.
Hell yeah. Will Brawley just asked, so you do film and make music too? Sorry, he's new to you. He knows you as the Death of Zenith, though, through me, but has not went and checked out your stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
You sound like you have a very vivid, intelligent, and deep cerebral mind. Oh, he fucking does.
Well, thank you, Will. That's a really nice way of saying that, of confirming that I'm an overthinker is my problem.
I mean, I
but,
think some
no, thank you. And don't worry, most people are new to me because I'm fucking nobody. But I have done film and music historically. Overnight is actually my final curtain call for film. That's my bow from film.
Really?
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah, and a lot of that is because what happened with It's Over was so just traumatizing, to have it ended that way when it was this huge dream, and to have found a little of that redemption in Overnight. I really that's where I need to leave it, man. And I don't want to tempt the fates beyond that. It's the most personal story I've ever told through film. It's Over means a lot to me because it's connected to Dustin. So that's why I have a copy of the book, and I'm probably going to read this thing once, put it on a shelf, and never touch it again, in all honesty. But Overnight is mine. That's me, and so I feel like the amount of closure I got from so many things in my life from that film, I can't imagine right now. I mean, I don't know. Life's taught me never to say never, but I can't imagine ever doing another film right now, at least not as a director.
I get that. I know you were talking about how you kind of went through a depression after the release. And it's like I listen to a lot of podcasts. So, I mean, I listen to a lot of actors and everything, and they're talking about when shows end, they go through this postpartum depression because they're mourning a loss of something that they were involved in. And I was like, dealing with that, and how has dealing with that and the anxieties of making it been different but similar at the same time?
Well, you're very much right. Because when we were doing a production or a show or anything like that, it's kind of like playing in a band with someone, you get attached. And then when that thing is over, because it's a finite thing, and bands last a little longer, but bands are ultimately finite things too. It's almost like a weird kind of breakup, so that's very much true. But the anxieties of making Overnight were huge. I mean, I moved back to my hometown of Abilene specifically to make it here, to shoot the film here, because I wanted it to be set here. Since once I knew it was going to be about me and Deja, basically, and I had not anticipated the amount of memories I was going to be stepping back into. Potent memories, things I hadn't thought about in years started flooding back. I mean, childhood stuff, early childhood stuff. So I don't know. It's weird because while I was making it, I was so ready for it to be done. but then as soon as it was over, I was like, fuck, I miss it. You know? But I am right now, I'm enjoying so much writing all this new music, stockpiling this new music. It's going to be a while till I can release any of it. But once I start, I'm not going to stop. Is the plan, and just drop. And I don't know. It's weird because I had this huge list of things when I was 21 years old to do overnight. It's over. Snout Productions, grad school, teach college. I had all this list of things I wanted to do, and I've done it all now. And so for the first time, it's like I'm roughly on the span of human life, roughly halfway done. And for the first time since I was 19, 20 years old, the only thing in front of me is the rest of my life, you know? So
what? I mean, that's gotta feel insane.
It does. It's overwhelming and joyful all at the same time, but it's a little anxiety provoking too, because it's I don't know, like a confirmation that I am not 20 something anymore. You know, like, wow, I really am this far down the road. Okay, I only have so much time left. You know, I mean, I'm not old, you know, but I like, maybe it's losing someone prematurely. You think about mortality a little more, I guess. And so I think a lot about what I want to do with the second half of my life, you know, and I just want as much peace as possible, honestly.
Well, I mean, I think also, like, you know, those were all bucket list items for you.
Yeah.
And do you find it, you know, you can tell me to fuck off if you want, but like, do you find it, you know, kind of harder to find the inspiration for things now that you've completed so many of what you wanted to do?
No, it's a really good question. I don't know if it's difficult to find inspiration as much as motivation. Maybe. I have 1,001 ideas that I'm like, oh, that would be cool. That would be cool. Like, you know, I'm happy to say I still can't turn that off. And I think that's a good sign, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I do find myself, I guess, looking for like, what is that next big thing? And I'm actually trying to challenge myself right now to, no, just like, think about the next song, you know, just one song. And I have one on the boiler right now with Seeth and with Courtney Gardam from Seraphim Rising. It's a 3 vocalist thing. I'm really excited about it. And I don't know when it's going to come out. You know, they need to do their parts, and they're both really busy, you know, because they're badasses. But beyond that song, I'm like, no, your guess is as good as mine. And maybe right now, that's probably the healthiest option for me, you know?
Yeah. Real quick, I got to give a shout out to our boy Steve. You know, Patrick.
Yes.
He's the initial person that got me involved with you, and then I think that was through the Cipher of the Morning Star that you and me just kind of started talking.
Yeah,
and dude, that was such a fun track to be a part of, man.
That has honestly shifted my musical direction. Like, I can say that future tracks are gonna have more of that style from me, because, dude. Oh, Diana. Oh, this is a friend of mine. Oh, thanks, Diana. Appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. She and I actually went to school together.
And then Jana also said, at 20, we have youth on our side. But at this point, we have so much more introspection, skill, and understanding. Oh, you can do far more than before. Whatever is next for you, it's going to be amazing.
Thank you, Jana.
Sounds like you got a killer support system, man. So I mean,
I do, man. It's cool. The amount of people who I've found that are supporting what we're doing over at So Lunar in the past few years, it's been pretty awe-inspiring, and I thank all of you. Thanks to all of you.
Yeah. And I have the Soul Lunar Bandcamp scrolling across the feed now, so everybody should go check that out. It's got loads of good shit, including the overnight soundtrack, part 1 and part 2.
Yeah,
which I tried to listen to all of it, and of course, timing just did not want to work out for me at work today.
But you heard it all in the movie anyway, so.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to ask you, because we talked so much about overnight. I definitely want to get to the music too.
Yeah.
Like, which is you and which isn't?
Wait, the music or the movie?
The music. I know where you are in the movie.
Oh, okay.
So, like, say with Portal.
Okay. I am the music on Portal.
Okay.
And Sam Astaroth is all the vocals.
Okay.
So Death of Zenith is kind of and I didn't plan it this way. It just evolved this way. as the Death of Zenith, I am a producer, vocalist, instrumentalist, I do all of it, but I don't always do all of it. But if I'm present, it's going to say the Death of Zenith because it's me. But maybe I'm doing the vocals, okay. So for example, the song Runaway, which is also on the soundtrack, that beat is Ritual of Ether. All the music and production on that's Ritual of Ether. The vocals and the vocal production, that's me and my engineer, right?
Okay.
But it's still the Death of Zenith and Ritual of Ether. I just switched roles, The Death of Zenith and Sam Astaroth, that's Portal. But on that, I'm the producer, not the vocalist, So I might be one, I might be the other, I might be both. But if I'm there, if it says Death of Zenith, I'm fucking in there somewhere.
Yeah. So now, what was your role on, I think it's called The Sun and Moon?
Sun and Moon, yeah. So that song was all me, except for the solo, which is Skeptic from Blood of the Beloved. The solo
no shit.
Song.
That was Skeptic. All you?
Yeah. The rest of the song is all me, though. Yeah.
So, because I've had that song on repeat.
Oh, awesome. I'm really glad you like that one. That was fun to do. So that's a cover of a song by Above and Beyond. It's a house song. It's a techno song. And that was actually Deja's idea. And she commissioned that for me for the soundtrack. So Lunar Records, right? Solar, lunar, sun, moon, eclipse. You've seen overnight. All this starting to fall together for you. So she said, you need to do. She's like, I've always wondered what a metal cover of that song would sound like. Do you think you have that in you? She's like, because you have all this sun and moon imagery in the movie. We have it all on the label. Like, this has been a big part of our story. We should cover it for the soundtrack, And I got to tell you, so she came on board as like co-producer basically, and she whooped my ass, man. Because she knew what I was capable of, though, frankly, And her son, Max, also gave me a lot of helpful feedback too. And the original solo was by me, but I was just like, the solo is not hitting the way I want it to. And Skeptic's a way better guitar player than I am. And so I was like, well, you just throw, so it's just this one little section, man. I need your, because all mine sounds too noodly. I wanted something more melodic, I guess. And so he did, and that was the final cherry on top, was his solo. That elevated it to a whole new fucking level for both of them. Once Deja and I heard that, his solo on top, we were like, oh, it's done. So, but yeah, other than that, that whole song was me.
Okay, so with that being said, like, dude, your vocals are fucking awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate that, man.
I was listening to that. I was like, is this Mushroom Head?
Dude, I've been getting a lot of Mushroom Head comparisons with this project, and I am not mad about it. Like, that's awesome.
Well, I mean, you even quote them in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's definitely influence. And then I heard that song, and I was like, am I fucking listening to Save Us from Mushroom Head? Because the vocal, like, it sounds so good, dude. Like,
thank you.
You definitely don't give yourself enough credit, and there's not enough of you out there.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's fun. I love Mushroom Head now. I didn't really grow up with them. Like, I mean, I knew who they were, and I didn't hate them. Like, I liked them. I don't know. I was listening to other shit, I guess.
Yeah.
You take one look at my music library and you realize why it takes me a while to get to things sometimes. Over like 300 artists and that shit. But I became a fan of Waylon Revis and his vocals because, so the band Revolution, who is on the Overnight soundtrack, they did this song, Never Say, which, without giving away spoilers, that's the song that breaks the fuck out of your heart at the end when you find out who the boy is. that song. Revolution and I worked together on a song I wrote for Dusty, actually, after he passed. And it wasn't a song I thought I would release until they came on board and helped me produce it. They were basically the background of it. But Revolution, they're kind of cool because they don't have it's like a pig face thing. They don't have a full-time vocalist.
Yeah.
But like some songs, like they've done songs with N. Esh and Raymond from KMFDM and Pig. And they've done songs with Riggs from Rob Zombie, Christopher Hall from Stabbing Westward. And they have a lot of songs with Waylon, actually. And a lot of my, when I was getting to know Brian from Revolution, I was listening to his music, and a lot of my favorite songs were sung by Waylon. And so I asked him, I was like, okay, Waylon Revis, where do I know this name? Mushroom Head, right? And he was like, yeah, but he's not in Mushroom Head anymore. I said, oh, really? Okay, what's he doing now? And he was like, he's in a band called A Killer's Confession. Check them out. They're badass. So I went and I listened to A Killer's Confession's first 2 records, which were out. Yeah, Will, those guys. Yeah, I know. He's got my entire fucking childhood on speed dial. I don't know why. He does. But he told me, he's like, yeah, check out A Killer's Confession, bro. And so I did, and I got obsessed with Waylon just as a vocalist. I was like, well, I guess I'd better go check out Mushroom Head now, because now I'm down the rabbit hole, you know. And so now I'm like all about it, you know, and his era is definitely my favorite. But I have a bad habit of that, dude. I'm late to parties, man. Like anything I get into, it's like a fucking decade after it happened.
You're like, oh man, I love this show, and it's the last fucking.
Like, yeah, he's dead. Well, fuck.
So now, what was your first AKC song that you listened to? Because for me, it was "Angel on the Outside."
That was one of them, and that song actually helped me get through my divorce, dude. That song was a big one for me when I was getting divorced. I think. See, I just played both albums all the way through because I'm an album guy. And I listened to Unbroken all the way first, the first album.
So
and
good.
I was like, this is heavier than Mushroom Head.
Yeah.
and then I listened to the second album. I was like, this is nowhere near as heavy, but God, the melodies are just like masterful, you know? Yes. And Numb was the song.
Numb is, oh my God, dude. It guts me.
I think I had tears streaming down my face halfway through Numb. I watched the video and it triggered Dusty stuff for me, honestly. But I watched the video for Numb and then The Shore right after it. And I was like, this guy's a fucking genius. Like, why is no one paying attention to him? You know? And I've actually had the pleasure of having a couple conversations with him. And he's also just a total fucking gentleman. He's given me some really good advice, actually. If you walk up to him at a show, dude, he'll talk to anybody. Like he has no idea who he is. Yeah,
I've heard that.
What I've heard. Well, yeah.
I know I got to be mindful of your time here, so I definitely want to get into. Are we doing good? Okay.
Yeah, we're doing good.
I want to talk to you, man. What was it like to do the instrumental direction for Overnight? Did you have it beforehand or did you do it afterwards?
Little of both. So the music really drove the narrative. Obviously, when you watch it, the music really drives the narrative. I mean, I wanted it almost to be like borderline like Pink Floyd's The Wall or Halsey's If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power, where it's like the music is it. The music's the thing, you know, but it's a compilation instead of one artist. As I was writing the script, what would happen is I would reach out to like Seethe or Ritual of Ether or Sam Astaroth, and I would say, this is what I'm working on, and I'd love to have you involved. I want to do this big soundtrack album that's kind of a throwback to 90s, 2000s compilation soundtracks, you know, like Lost Highway, The Crow, Queen of the Damned, Spawn, Escape from LA. I mean, there were thousands of the things, and they were all just badass. And it's like, I miss those, you know. I mean, half my favorite bands came from those things, you know.
Yeah, same.
And I wanted to do something like that and sell it on Bandcamp, but then make a movie to go with it that was totally driven by it. And everybody was into the idea. And what happened is so like, you know, I'd tell Sam, you're the opening credits, and this is the theme I want. Or I'd tell Pat, you're this scene, and I'd send him the scene. This is what's happening, and this is what's going on in his mind. What does that look like lyrically from a Seethe song perspective?
Damn.
And Sam and Seethe were the two who said, okay, you're doing my instrumental. And that's actually where The Death of Zenith came from. I needed a project name for doing their instrumentals. And because MZNZ just ended, I didn't want it to be the Caleb Straus show, you know. So Deja and I sat down and she helped me think of that name. Actually, we back and forth till we had a name. And then Mad Clock designed my logo, and it was just like, slap it on, stick it on the and just there it is. And now it's a real project, but it was created specifically for the movie. And so what happened is as I started writing music, So when I went to grad school for directing, I had to take a class called Director Designer Collaboration course. And it was basically how directors learned how to talk to scene designers, costume designers, sound designers, people that were not actors, people that were responsible for the aesthetic. I got to tell you, dude, when I took that class, directing clicked for me. All of a sudden, directing made fucking sense. It's world building. And it's all of these things. You're using the 5 senses to build a world. That's all directing is. The cliche is that you're telling the actors what to do, but a good director doesn't tell the actor shit, except for maybe stand to your left a little bit. You know what I mean? Because what a good director will do is cast the actor he doesn't have to tell shit to, you know? And then the director builds the world. You build the Lego set and you let the actor go play and you photograph the fucking thing. That's it. You know what I mean? Or if it's a play, they do it live. But that's when directing clicked for me. And I found that because of my music background and my passion for music, music was such a killer, like, source of inspiration for me and a really big part of my directing process. When I direct a play, which I still do professionally from time to time, the first thing I do is I make a playlist. And that playlist informs what the set's going to look like, who I cast, how I do. I mean, it informs everything. 9 times out of 10, the playlist ends up becoming the intermission music. So I basically used that same process for overnight. And as I started working with the musicians, or I knew what song they were giving me, or I started getting songs that they'd created specifically for it back, dude, I went back to the script and started rewriting. Once I started getting music, I rewrote. Sieve completely changed everything. Once I had Bottom of the Wells lyrics, that changed everything. I went back and I rewrote. I think I even changed what I used it for. Yeah. And same thing with Sam, you know, like the way I shot the opening credits, I had the song, you know, the song came out like a year before I shot that. So yeah, I shot to that, you know. The soundtracks were done long before the movie was. And so I built everything. I mean, it's almost like shooting a 2-hour-long music video to that with some traditional dialogue scenes interspersed, you know. So yeah, the music is really the thing. The music drives it. The music's everything. You know,
it does. I can't give it enough praise, honestly, man. I've been sitting here listening to it, and I was like, the soundtrack is so fucking good.
Thanks,
like,
man.
Even if you don't watch the movie, like, listen to that soundtrack, because sonically, that thing like sucks you in.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of talent that I'm just completely flabbergasted even wanted to be involved, man. I mean, Feast on the Fallen, Sieve, 9-Stitch Method, Ritual of Ether, Blood of the Beloved, Silhouette Death, Mad Clock, Revolution, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
There's like at least 12 or 13 talented ass fucking people that were.
I was going to say, Skeptic is on the one, isn't he? He's on is it?
He's on Sun and Moon, but then also there's on the second soundtrack album, on the Moon album, there's the very last MZNZ song ever recorded, actually, which it's a nod to David Lynch. It's a nod to Twin Peaks. It's called I Want All My Garmin Bosia, and it's MZNZ and Blood of the Beloved. It was both bands together. So
damn.
And it's just a fucking rager. It's violence.
I don't say this very often, especially for like soundtracks, but like it became an instant favorite for me. Like I want to listen to it like on repeat.
Awesome.
And that was just the 4 tracks that I heard from Spotify originally.
Yeah,
I was sitting there for an hour listening to them.
Well, what's cool is like, and it was actually Deja's idea to split them into 2, Sun and Moon, the Sun and Moon albums, because we ended up with over 20 tracks. And she was like, that might be a little much. Let's split that into 2. And I was like, okay, if we're going to split it into 2, is there something we could, how does that organize the songs then? Like, what's the sequence order then? And that came together in a discussion with Alan, because Alan said, hey, dumbass, you've got Sun and Moon everywhere. You got 2 albums, Sun, Moon. And that helped us split the song. So he and I instinctively listened to everything and went, that sounds like Sun. This song just sounds solar. It sounds bright, sounds more masculine. This goes with Sun. Moon is darker. It's more negative. It's, you know, the divine feminine. So that's a whole different vibe, right? And that's how we split up the songs, basically. And then, so that changed everything too, you know?
And for those who eventually do watch it, like the Sun and Moon aspect of everything plays such a huge role to it. And I also found our timing to be like, amazing because of the eclipse that is happening tomorrow.
Yeah, we did that on purpose too.
I swear we did. Like, we're not at all.
So the film will be available tomorrow as well.
Really?
Yes, it comes out to the world tomorrow on Eclipse Day. Yeah.
Oh man. So okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you know that ahead of time?
Well, the original release date was April 1st, and we were going to do it on Vimeo, but Vimeo dropped the ball, and so we're distributing it ourselves just from our website directly. You can buy it or rent it from solunarrecords.com. There's no third party, there's no middleman. Just buy it, download it, and watch it on whatever you want. And when we realized we'd have to push it, and once we got the backup plan in place, Deja's going, you know what day we got to release it on now? We got to do it on the day of the eclipse,
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know you said with that was your swan song for film.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself getting into books, like writing books, or
maybe just because, and I'm not the primary author on this, basically what Dennis did is he took my dialogue and put it together through prose, but it's all my dialogue and my story and my plot points and all that. But when he was, he and I actually finished up the third volume of this while I was finishing overnight. And so I did help him retool and rewrite some things. I thought, well, maybe let's do this with this character, this with it. And so I got a little more involved with the third one. And I thought, this is kind of fun because you don't have to figure out how you're going to do it. You just have to figure out how you're going to write it,
Yeah.
And yet there is something tangible to hold in your hand at the end, unlike theater. So that's something I could definitely see myself doing. I've had a pipe dream of always doing a graphic novel. That hasn't happened yet. That was going to happen with It's Over, but it hasn't happened yet. Deja and I have talked about possibly doing an overnight graphic novel down the line if we raise enough money from the film for it. But that would even be a little bit different too. Like we played with the idea of maybe the characters, instead of looking like the actors from the movie, they actually look like the people they're based on. Like they actually look like the real people.
Shit.
Yeah. So
I
don't know. Who knows? So
we're all over the place tonight, but that's just how my podcast is anyway.
I love
it. Dude, same. Like I'm bipolar and everything else, so I have like flight of thoughts. Like there's just a million, But you just said, graphic novels, and so I gotta ask: Are you a comic book fan, like an actor? Like yeah. What's your favorite?
Right now, I'm reading Watchmen for the 168 and a half time.
I have Rorschach on my leg. Legitimately.
And I love all things Watchmen. I love Zack Snyder's movie. I love David Lindelof's show. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's soundtrack albums to that, which is fucking...
Yeah,
you can't 9 Inch Nails Watchmen. Bitch, hide and watch.
Right.
Fuck, it's so good. But I love all things Watchmen. What else? The Crow, obviously, a big one. And I've actually met James O'Barr. I got to meet him at some kind of comic convention. Yeah, I know, dude. That was a bucket list thing I didn't even think would ever happen. That was cool. What else? Got huge Batman fan. Love Arkham Asylum. The Killing Joke. God, what am I forgetting? Oh, all-time favorite. One of my all-time favorites. A lot of people don't know it's a comic book, but The Mask, which the Jim Carrey film was based on.
Thank you.
Yeah, because dude, I remember the first comic my dad bought me from The Mask. The movie had just come out, and I read through it, and I was like trying to make sure this was like this was like the movie. It's way fucking better.
Right? It's a lot different.
I remember the one, like when Walter, and it pissed me off that Walter is not in the movie, dude.
I know.
But Walter, when he's smashing that guy's head against the fucking table, and they're like, put your hands up, and he's just like, and I'm like 14 going like, I should not be laughing at this. This is terrible. But no, I love The Mask. I love Batman, The Crow, Watchmen. I tend to I like kind of the darker, grittier stuff, but yeah, I love
same. Like you said, The Crow is one of my all-time favorite comic books, like the James O'Barr, mainly the James O'Barr runs.
Definitely. Same.
But as far as Batman, dude, you were talking about Arkham Asylum, and I'm pretty sure you're meaning the Serious House on Serious Earth.
Yes.
Grant Morrison is just a god. Like, that's all there is to it.
Yeah, that man is not mortal.
He also did my favorite run of X-Men ever, the new X-Men. So I mean, like, him and Frank Quitely together is just freaking dangerous.
Oh, dude. And obviously Frank Miller, his influence can't be denied on just comics in general. Yeah, huge.
Dark Knight Returns. I mean, I wasn't a fan of when he came back and did, what was it, the Dark Knight Master Race and all that. I was like,
I never read it because I had a feeling I wouldn't be that into it. But
I like a behind the scene here, but I'm not a huge fan of modern comics. Like, I love 80s, 90s, and 2000s comics, and then just a lot of the more modern stuff is just I have propagated. That's the only way I can say it.
I have not read a Batman comic since I found out they killed Alfred.
Oh shit, that was like 10 years ago, dude.
Yeah, and I know, and that's when I stopped. The New 52 run was badass,
dude. Absolutely.
I think honestly, the New 52 Batman run might have been the last great American comic books that I've seen.
Yeah,
because they were masterful, but I have not liked anything since then. Honestly,
the beginning of Rebirth was really set up to be a great thing, and then like they just dropped the ball on every title.
Yeah, well, they're trying to do too much like new shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, if you want to do something new, tell a new story. Create a new character. But if you're dealing with Batman, give us what we fucking want.
Right? Like Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's run on Batman. Ugh. Oh my god, dude! Yeah. Unmatched in my opinion.
I've been a huge Scott Snyder fan ever since. If I see his name on something, I'll read it.
Yes. Yes, I can sit here and talk to you for hours about comics, so I'll
definitely. Definitely.
So, I mean, we're, I think, coming up on right around 55 minutes. How are we doing on time?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, I have to roll here in about like 8 minutes, I think.
8 minutes? Okay. So we'll do some outside of the ordinary questions that you might get. All so, as a artist, but also, somebody who is obviously attached to the aspect of humanity, how do you feel about the rise of AI right now?
Mixed thoughts on that. And maybe they're mixed right now because I'm still sort of waiting and seeing about a lot of things. I'll be perfectly frank with you. There were some special effects sequences that were done by AI and overnight initially. That were then taken out as it got more commonplace and replaced with just Photoshop work, which now is considered good old fashioned special effects. Thanks, AI. Not because I'm inherently 100% against the use of it, but because I didn't want overnight to become a conversation about AI, because it isn't. It's a conversation about relationships and addiction, Yeah. So I do use Chat GPT to help me get started writing press releases at times.
I mean, same, dude. Like,
and then I will take it and I'll tool it to my liking. But that way I don't have to worry about the formatting. And I mean, why? There's nobody lost money for me doing that. No. I saved time because I wasn't going to hire anyone to do it anyway. I can't afford to.
For me, I feel it like as a tool for productivity, I think it's a great thing to have. Yeah. But when you become so self-reliant on it, like I've talked to people, not on here, but just in life, like when they're writing songs, they hit a wall and then they go to AI and I'm like, whoa. Like, it's a slippery slope because then you're losing your creativity.
With music, I feel a little more strongly about it because music, and I'm saying this as an electronic musician. I love electronic music. It's my roots, but music, no matter the genre or what you use to create it, is, I think, it's reliant upon humanity. Humanity is what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of AI taking over music though, because I'm giving the rest of human beings the credit that they know that too. And I don't think human beings are going to respond to AI generated music the same way. I just don't think AI is going to, because the soul is too important a part of it. You know what I mean?
I do.
And if I'm wrong, then the soul was never a part of it and we've lost nothing. But I don't think I am. You know what I mean? I don't think that AI has the capability to take over music, because what we have, and this bears saying, because a lot of people do not understand the difference. We don't have artificial consciousness. We have artificial intelligence. They are not the same motherfucking thing. Mm-hmm. Chat GPT has no idea it exists.
No.
Not a clue.
You can stump it pretty easily.
Right. You can stump it very easily. And 9 times out of 10, it's not even right. Right. We as human beings, and I think this will be true of AI as well. See, I grew up in the 90s, and Trent Reznor and Al Jorgensen were using drum machines on mainstream metal records, and every drummer in the world was afraid they were going to be out of a job in 10 years.
Yeah.
Clearly, that has not happened. I know a lot of well-employed drummers. Okay. And people still value them, man. Someone sees a drummer, they scoop them the fuck up, because you can't find them.
They're rare, dude.
So I think technology in general, I look at it like this, and AI has some kinks to work out. I'm not saying it doesn't. But we as human beings have this horrible habit. We've been doing it for over 1,000 years, where we identify a need. Smart. Okay. We've developed enough intelligence to identify a need. Great. We create a tool to fill that need. Again, smart. We've developed enough intelligence to create the tool that fills the need.
Yep.
Here's where we fuck up. We don't use the tool to fill the need. We use the tool for all this other shit. And then what do? We blame the tool. We give all of our agency and our responsibility and our willpower away to the tool.
Yep.
I'm going to hurt some feelings with the things I'm about to say. Facebook is not toxic. The people on Facebook are toxic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Instagram, TikTok, they are not the problem. Social media is not a problem. It can't be. It has no consciousness. It has no agenda. It has no thought process. It has no desire, no objective. We have got to start owning our shit, or we as a species are fucked. We've got to. Or we've got to stop making the fucking thing to begin with. But we cannot keep making things and then blaming the thing. Technology is not the problem. We are the fucking problem. And until we see that, we deserve whatever comes to us, honestly. Sun burns a hole through the planet in 10 years, we earned it. Yeah. Because we didn't fucking get it,
I mean, I have the conversation with people at work, everywhere, but it's like, everybody feels this entitlement factor that there's no accountability for their actions. And it's like, we're the reason that things are the way it is right now in the world. Yeah. It's because Facebook started out as a fucking social service thing for colleges initially. Yeah. And look what it turned into. It ain't because of college. It was because people gravitated to it.
People in their 40s through 60s are turning it into what it is. Mm-hmm. It's not children. It's not the youth. It's fucking Gen X and boomers that have made Facebook what it is. It's not even the youth.
I honestly hate using social media anymore. It's just like
necessary evil, but I hate it.
It is, and it's like you do all these things to get better at your profession or your passion. It's like, well, now you got to add on being an influencer. You got to add on being a manager of everything, and it's like it's a very easy passion killer if you're not careful.
It can be. I found that, and of course, I'm taking some marketing classes too, right? And one of the things I'm sort of trying to teach myself how to do is I think, Trent Reznor is my hero, and I think he was really good at this, still is really good at this. He knows how to turn marketing into art. He did that with Year Zero. The marketing behind that album was just as brilliant as the music. And that campaign has affected the way I've marketed everything I've done since 2007. Because, wow. Year Zero is a huge influence on It's Over, I think marketing can be art. I think you've got to put in the thought, and you can't give it away to somebody else unless you trust them. But I think what kills my motivation and my inspiration is not really having to do all that stuff. It's having to do all that stuff in an environment where people either A, they don't care, or B, they're hostile for the sake of being hostile.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't blame the platform for that. That's whatever asshole in Tennessee decided that, hey, there's a screen between me and him. He can't punch me. So I'm going to say whatever I want. You know what I mean?
Hey,
It's
I'm in Virginia.
you know?
I'm in Virginia. Watch it.
Yeah. But I find that like, sometimes I find the best thing to do, and I've converted my Facebook page over to a digital creator profile. What that has kept me from doing is posting anything personal.
Yeah.
And now that Facebook is work, I don't do it when I'm not working. And that's
true.
been a big impact on my mental health in a very positive way, because, you know, when most people are experiencing downtime, what do? They scroll through Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I run a fucking record label. I've been doing that all day. So my downtime, Facebook goes the fuck away, you know, and that's really helped.
Yeah. One last thing, and then I will let you go. Trent Reznor, to me, regardless of people thinking he went soft or sold out, is way too fucking smart to let himself be used. He's the one. He is the one who uses whatever it is he needs to make what he makes. He forges his way, always has. Yes.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think
also,
like guys like him and Mike Patton, and honestly, like, to be honest, like you said an interesting thing. I'm sorry, I kind of just took over here, JT, but he said something interesting I wanted to touch on. Because a lot of people do feel like Trent Reznor went soft or sold out, or, you know, what happened is he grew up.
Yeah.
And I find that most of my musical influences are a lot like him, are people who have been accused of that, you know, the Corey Taylors of the world and the Devin Townsends of the world. And I think because I am sort of obsessed with duality, I'm obsessed with loud and soft and angry and quiet and heavy and, you know, light and dark and sun and moon, you know. But yeah, I mean, Will nailed it. Like, no one has ever told Trent Reznor what the fuck to do. If he went softer, he went softer and said, "And you can pry it out of my cold dead fucking hand, bitch."
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I went softer. The fuck you gonna do about it? I'm Trent Reznor. Fuck you. You know? Which to me, like, which is more punk? Which is more punk? Sticking with what people expect of you, or doing whatever the fuck you want, regardless of whether or not they expect it of you?
Yep.
Because I can tell you, I'm gonna go behind door number 2 every motherfucking time.
Same, dude. Same. I want to track in almost every kind of possible metal genre, or like, you know, whatever. Like I'm working on several different ones, but dude, I know
I love all kinds of music anyway, you know, but.
Well, I was going to say, I know it is getting time for you. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for doing this, man.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
I want to have you back on. We talked about it earlier, but it's like, you know, I feel like we just scratched the surface. Like, you and me could talk for hours. It definitely shows.
Yes.
So
I would love to come back on.
Absolutely, man. And when we're both not maybe pressed for time, I would love to get you, and then like just have you for like an hour and a half or so, and we'll throw everything at the wall. Like,
yeah, let's do it. That sounds like a blast, man. I love it.
And I also want to collab with you. Like,
absolutely, yes,
dude. I want you to be making some instrumentals for me. I don't care what it costs at this point.
Oh, I got you, buddy. No, we're gonna do several. I think you're gonna be one of my regulars. I think we're gonna have some fun down the line.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, dude, I will let you go. Thank you for going beyond the breakdown, man.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. We will definitely do it again. And thanks everybody for watching.
See you, man. Safe travels.
Peace. Thanks.
So, I mean, that was Caleb Straus, aka Def of Zenith, and man, I gotta say that was an intensely awesome episode. Thank you so much, Jonna. I see your comment where it says great show. I appreciate that so much. If you're new here, which I think a couple of you are, I do this as often as I can. Normally, it will be discussing mental health or the person's inspirations behind their music and how they deal with certain things. But I'm going to be branching out fairly soon. I made a post yesterday about starting something called the Scariverse, And it's basically just going to be a self-contained world of podcasts, and it is going to be, just different hobbies and different things, and they're all going to be contained under one banner, just easily made for better management. But I don't have anything lined up right now until the 26th of this month, and that is with the stellar Dead Reckoning. I have several that I'm working on, but just, timing right now. With that being said, it felt really, really great to get behind the microphone again and just kind of be myself. I've missed you. I've missed you all, actually. Like, it's been almost a month, and I'm like, this is really weird, like, not doing this. And it's weird how things just kind of become a passion project, really, and they become like a stress reliever. But yeah, thank you for joining me tonight and going beyond the breakdown with 6 Scars. My name is JT, and I will catch you all on the next one.